Jack, I'm not even going to do an introduction. We're just going to dive into the meat of the weekend, which, first off, we had an incredible weekend when it comes to professional wrestling. We had SmackDown in Perth. Perth crowd, incredible. They proved it in Elimination Chamber. They proved it again this weekend. Then we fell into Crown Jewel. What an event all around Crown Jewel was. We can probably do a video on that later. TNA's Bound for Glory, their #1 pay-per-view of the year. And dear God, did we go through a roller coaster of emotions in that entire pay-per-view, from sad to happy to extremely pissed off. But that sits nowhere near what we experienced this morning. And I know you were up at 5 a.m. here over on the West Coast. And
I feel like I do this often, but I'm going to do it again.
Yeah. 5 a.m. on the West Coast, 8 a.m. on the East Coast for Monday Night Raw, which I almost forgot about. And I'm glad I didn't. Oh, you did?
I woke up to checking my feed, and I actually had a coworker who's like helping me with reels and, you know, working on engagement. She's been in the sports betting and poker space for a long time. And she sent me a DM being like, CM Punk's trending right now. Make a post about CM Punk, you know, not really knowing anything about wrestling. And I'm like, why is CM Punk trending at 7 o'clock in the morning? And I'm like, CM Punk's the #1 contender. How did that happen? It's 7 o'clock in the morning. And then I'm like, oh, they're still in Perth.
Yeah.
And then I opened up the WWE Instagram to see what had transpired to close the show. And I was so angry, Steve. I was like, why are they doing this when the majority of their audience is still eating their breakfast?
You probably didn't even have a coffee in you. I'm just going to say this right now. I was half a mouse click away from turning my stream off. And I was like, whoa, like, they swerved us just like they swerved with CM Punk. Like, they put the credits up. They put the sponsors up. It was go home. People are walking out of the venue. Imagine if you're that person. Like, I hope you learned your lesson, whoever you are that walked out of the arena after the match ended. And I'm so glad you missed it, because you never leave a show early. It's just like people who leave baseball games or soccer games when their team is down by 2 with like 10 minutes to go. Like, what's wrong with you? There's so much left. But the vision is no more. Or clearly, Bron Breakker did not have the same vision as Seth Rollins. And we're going to dive into it. Overall first impression of this entire scenario, Jack?
My first impression was that I did not have my morning cup of coffee yet. And I thought of 5 things, actually, Steve. 5 things.
Okay.
I thought Seth Rollins' karma is a bitch for lying to us 2 months ago at SummerSlam when you told the entire world that you were going to be out for like 6 to 9 months with a torn ACL. So
horrible.
Good riddance there. My second thought is Seth Rollins legitimately hurt? You know, you can speculate wildly that he really, really, really hurt his shoulder in that match against Cody Rhodes at Crown Jewel. But again, that is speculation, because my third thought is, what if he's not hurt and they did this to just spark up storylines? Because WWE has been regurgitating the same thing every single week when it came to Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed in the Vision. Maybe this is a shakeup. Maybe this is, you know, Seth Rollins can kind of do his own thing with Becky Lynch as the World Heavyweight Champion and Intercontinental Champion. And then Paul Heyman can groom Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed. Though I feel like that also messes up with a ton of stories that the WWE probably had planned with CM Punk and Seth Rollins, with Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns and Bronson Reed, Roman Reigns and Bron Breakker. Now you throw Seth Rollins in that mix of being enemies with Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed. It's kind of, you know, a toss-up as to what you're going to do storylines heading into WrestleMania 42. It kind of makes everything different. My fourth thought was, my dream scenario of War Games is no longer going to happen. I don't even know what's going to happen at War Games. They might do the Wyatts versus the MFTs for your big War Games match this year. I mean, that's really the only thing I could think of. I don't know what they're going to do. My fifth, and this is the most out of left field thought that I had, Steve, is that what if, through all of this, the WWE is able to tell the story of a massive tag team match at WrestleMania between Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed, and Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. That was my fifth thought of all of this, but I'm eager to hear what your thoughts are with this. It sounds like the more plausible explanation is that Seth Rollins could be hurt here, and that they just push this more so like how, Edge was kicked out of the Judgment Day. It's like someone was hurt. We need to turn you back babyface. They're going to turn on you and carry on the faction by themselves, because it seems like the vision is going to continue, just now with Seth Rollins as their leader.
Yeah, it's very much the Judgment Day story of, Rhea and Priest learned all they needed to learn from Edge and then, kick the wise man out, per se. And this is kind of the similar way they're doing it. I'm going to say this. Out of those 5 things, I think the realistic side of it is Seth is injured, and this one's legitimate for once. And again, it's so hard now with what WWE's been doing to truly believe that it is an injury, Like, this man was filmed walking down the street with his daughter on crutches, filmed by Becky Lynch. I'm in a WWE video with Becky Lynch being like, "Oh, was my post misleading?" Like, it's really
to Rue's elementary school teacher, for God's sakes.
Exactly. So it's so hard to believe that he's injured, but like doing it so close together, unless they are trying to build that Seth hates CM Punk this much. And that's at this point in time, a stretch. Like, if you go back and watch Seth do that dive against Cody Rhodes, your shoulder doesn't bend that way. So, there's a lot of possibilities. And I think the biggest one is Seth is injured, and they had to pull the trigger very quickly on something they were probably going to do about 12 to 14 months from now, which, you know what? It worked. It worked. Don't go look up on the internet right now after this video, every single content creator's reaction. It's the exact same thing. And it worked. People are genuinely saying this was done to near perfection. Now, to your points of what happens next. War Games, we have 6 weeks. Honestly, the best thing coming is probably the MFTs versus the Wyatt 6. Granted, that'll be a destructive match, but it's not the match we wanted for War Games. So there's a catch-22. We're going to get a good match. We're going to get shit broken, but it's not the people that we wanted breaking stuff. You know what I mean? We wanted that all-star lineup of WWE's top 10 guys beating the crap out of each other. We're not probably.
It could still happen. It could still happen in a way where Paul Heyman heads a War Games team with Bronson, Braun, and Brock.
See, this is where I'm going with this. The realistic side of things, though, we don't know where that is going to happen. My biggest takeaway from the entire situation was this was a Bron Breakker move. This wasn't a Paul Heyman move. This was a Bron Breakker move. Turning to Bronson Reed, you have a choice. Make one. Bronson Reed made his choice. He's with his boy. Paul Heyman's on his knees. He's pulled up by the collar. You have a choice. Well, Paul Heyman's the weasel. He's always going to say yes so he doesn't get hurt. Minus Solo, I'm not going to acknowledge you as my tribal chief. But this one here, it's Bron Breakker. He can break Paul Heyman in half. We have seen this before where someone holds Paul Heyman hostage and in comes the beast incarnate to save his advocate. It's going to be Paul Heyman is, the oracle to the vision. But he's almost the oracle that is under lock and key by Bron Breakker.
So no different than the Solo storyline from last year.
No different, but then this one we bring all back to what we said about WrestleMania 42's main event. Breakker versus Brock Lesnar. And this is how you build into that. Brock Lesnar comes to save Paul Heyman. But Bron Breakker's stronger with Bronson Reed by his side, and Brock doesn't get the W until you go all the way through, and then he puts over Bron Breakker. But Paul Heyman goes back with Brock for the final run for Brock Lesnar. Because we got to look at it. How many more runs does Brock Lesnar have?
I would say probably by the end of next year, Brock Lesnar's done.
So this is where we push Breakker into that Brock Lesnar position for the rest of his career. Pass the torch, and this is the way you do it. Bron Breakker is holding the Oracle, the Wise Man, the Advocate hostage. Who's going to come save him? The guy that has been by his side for 20 years. That's where WWE should go with this.
That is an interesting angle. I did not think of that.
It's what WWE does well is the long-term play. And we did see backstage Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman saying, we need to talk. Maybe, and nothing's come from it. Maybe Paul Heyman has said, I'm concerned. They've left an open door to filling what that was about. You know what I mean? So now you're looking at, okay, Paul saw this coming. He knew he wasn't able to control Bron Breakker. So he had to have that safety net in Brock Lesnar. Maybe next week we see Paul Heyman with his phone trying to dial, or in a couple of weeks, and Bron Breakker looks down. Who are you calling? Oh, nobody. Seth Rollins is out on the shelf. Roman Reigns is wherever the hell Roman Reigns is at this point. Doesn't want to see the Usos till Christmas. So who did Paul call? The guy that he's been around and that has been with him for 20 years. You know, since 2002. So
that's one interesting theory. The other theory is that they teamed together at War Games. Brock Lesnar and Bron Breakker, like you said, both of them are incapable of getting along with other people, and they're both beasts in their own right? They're both neurotic in their own right? They're just incapable of it, and that's why this turn was perfect tonight, regardless if it was rushed or not. Mm-hmm. Bron Breakker is a neurotic little pit bull who barks all over the place, who just could not stand being in the shadow of Seth Rollins for the past 6 months. Even he joined the group, presumably, to get ahead in the business, to not just learn from Seth Rollins, but to learn from Paul Heyman. But now he's at a point where he, the animal's out of its cage, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Paul Heyman may have seen that in the moment, being like, what the hell are you doing? But it's like, these guys are the future. Paul Heyman has really no love lost for Seth Rollins. That pairing was never like set in stone to be like Seth Rollins trusts Paul Heyman and Paul Heyman trusts Seth Rollins. It's like Seth Rollins is Seth Rollins without Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman's Paul Heyman without Seth Rollins. So it's like you can kind of wipe your hands clean of this, tell a story, of course, when Seth Rollins comes back. But you could almost tell the story of the same thing. Both Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman are on the same page, and Bron Breakker and Paul Heyman are a duo. And eventually, they trade blows inside of War Games. This leads to Bron Breakker and Brock Lesnar feuding, with Paul Heyman kind of stuck in the middle as he was with Lesnar and Reigns a few years ago. Mm-hmm. And then eventually, in the end, Heyman chooses the young and up-and-coming talent in Bron Breakker and screws over Brock Lesnar one more time. And that's how Brock Lesnar goes off into the sunset, and then Bron Breakker and Paul Heyman are a duo for years to come.
And WWE has told this story so many times with Paul Heyman in the middle, and it works every time. Because as much as Paul Heyman is a key factor in all these stories, he's never the true identity of the story. The two players that are working in the ring always seem to take it over, and you almost forget about Paul Heyman at times. So it's Paul Heyman's that good that he puts enough in and takes no spotlight. If that makes sense. I don't know another way of putting it, but he puts so much into the story, but literally takes no spotlight from the people that he's around. He does that very well, very much like the Penguin did. I hate to say the Penguin thing, but very much like the Penguin did in Batman. Like, he was always the little puppeteer, and you knew he was at the heart and soul of it, but at the end of the day, it was everyone else that shined, being shown by the Penguin. Anyways, Jack, I have a question when it comes to this now. If this is an injury, is creative concerned, because creative virtually put all their eggs in one basket with Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, saying, you know, we're going to choose Seth and Paul to carry us at least for the next year. Yeah, okay, we had the fake knee injury, but now we have a true injury potentially with Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this is an 80% chance this is an injury. Is creative concerned that now the World Heavyweight Champion, the Workhorse Champion, is potentially going to be on the shelf for 6 to 8 weeks? That goes right into 2026. That's a return at Riyadh's Royal Rumble, if it is. You know what I mean?
I mean, if he is hurt and the shoulder injury is that bad, 6 to 8 weeks ain't that bad, man. I'll take 6 to 8 weeks.
Oh, I'll take 6 to 8 weeks as well. I'm just saying, is creative concern getting through the rest of the year?
No, because I think during the build-up to that triple threat at WrestleMania, if you watch WWE Unreal, almost everybody in that room had CM Punk winning that match at WrestleMania. It was kind of more so like, where's this story going? Who benefits from it the most? Does Punk benefit from it the most? It's his first WrestleMania. Roman's the tribal chief. Roman's going to be Roman regardless if he wins or loses. But who's the guy that's been losing week in and week out for the last year? That's one of our top guys, Seth freaking Rollins. Yeah. If Seth Rollins loses this triple threat to Roman and Punk, then that just lessens his stock even more. Where does he go from here if he doesn't win this match? And who's playing tug of war with Paul Heyman right now? CM Punk and Roman Reigns. Have him turn on both of them. Like, I feel like that was more so a decision that was made in the final weeks leading up to WrestleMania than it was like a 4-month plan to have Rollins and Heyman together. So I don't think this is a scenario where they're like, we put all of our eggs in this basket for this storyline to work. Because I think a lot of people would argue that the Vision was no bloodline. You know, the Vision was no evolution. The Vision was no Shield. Like, it felt very forced, and it never got into, like, its climax moment of, like, this is must-watch television on Monday Night Raw on Netflix every Monday night. Like, it never got that good. You know, it's meant to elevate Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed, which it has. And a lot less time than we thought it was going to, because, you know, in today's WWE, these stories last 2 to 3, if not 4 years, right? Like that's what we came off of with the Bloodline. How do we replicate that now that that story's and that book is and that chapter is closed? Yeah. All right, let's make this new group. Seth Rollins turning heel, joining forces with Paul Heyman, elevating Breakker and Bronson Reed the same way that Roman elevated, you know, Solo Sikoa and Jey Uso and Jimmy. Like, it was the right idea, but they weren't able to execute the same way as Roman was able to with his group, because it was just that wasn't just a storyline, that wasn't just drama, that wasn't just acting, that was real life family, you know, getting to play roles on TV that they've dreamed about playing their whole lives. Where Seth Rollins did his best to elevate those guys. I don't think Bron Breakker or Bronson Reed necessarily needed Seth Rollins's, you know, approval or mentorship to be young and up and coming stars. It's like we saw it this past weekend. Bronson Reed pinned Roman Reigns, only the second guy in a singles match since 2019 to pin Roman Reigns in a singles match. Bron Breakker has been kept away, I guess you can say, from Roman Reigns and from, you know, the main event title picture, because they're obviously saving and protecting Bron Breakker the same way they saved and protect Roman Reigns all of about 6, 7, 8 years ago. Now Bron Breakker has his huge moment, spear heard around the world. What does this mean for him in the immediate future? I would argue that he's the leader of this group, regardless if it turns around of, you know, your theory of that Paul Heyman's going to be held hostage, or if Paul Heyman very much wants to lead these two young stars into the future. Bron Breakker, to me, needs to be in a main event match in WrestleMania 42 now with this turn. I think he needs a bona fide night 1, night 2, regardless of it is. I'll say this. I think Bron Breakker's retiring John Cena now. I think you need to keep. What do they say? Keep the iron while it's hot. Keep
it while.
Right.
I can't.
Keep
I know what
you
mean.
The iron while it's hot. That's what I'm going to go with.
Strike the iron while it's hot. Strike the iron while it's hot.
Strike the iron while it's hot. Brain dead, dude. 26 years old, and I am brain dead.
26 years old. Fuck, I'm 38, and I'm still the same.
Yeah, well, like you're 12 years older, so it's like, all right, 38 years old is the new whatever. But Bron Breakker, to me, strike the iron while it's hot. He's hot right now. I think he goes on to Saturday night's main event on November 1st, and he defeats CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship and becomes the world champion for the first time in his career. And I think he is the guy that retires John Cena. If you remember after Crown Jewel, Steve, Seth Rollins called himself the greatest of all time after beating Cody Rhodes. I think that they were gearing up for Seth Rollins to retire John Cena in his final match.
Wow.
Now that that's kind of supposedly out the window, if Seth Rollins is legitimately hurt, and this is why the whole reason why they had the vision turn on him on Raw in Perth, Australia, then strike the iron while it's hot. Bron Breakker's the guy that retires John Cena. He wasn't on my radar a week ago, but now I think you go all in with Bron Breakker. I think you have to.
I think you have to as well. I'm going to agree with you on that, but I still think it's Gunther. I still think they have so much stock in Gunther. I think honestly, and the wrestling fans around the world and whoever watches this video are going to disagree with me. I think WWE have just as much stock in Gunther as they do in Bron Breakker. I truly believe they see them as that future, like John Cena, Brock Lesnar thing. Like Gunther is going to be always in the title picture and Bron Breakker is just going to be a psychopath that destroys everybody. That is the next 10 to 15 years of pro wrestling, is Gunther and Bron Breakker. And they are going to cross paths time and time again. But WWE has as much stock in Gunther as they have in Bron Breakker right now. And I heard about this potential tournament that is going to lead to whoever faces John Cena at the final match. And people are really behind saying that it's going to be Gunther as his return because he went off. I like the Bron Breakker idea now, especially if he's holding the world title. I think it's a very unique swerve. And the cool part about this John Cena retirement tour, the whole thing has been an adjustment every which way. The Rock taking a step away, Travis Scott just vanishing off of WWE's radar. Like everything that we've seen has just been a coin toss, and it's like throwing mud at the wall and seeing what sticks, or having to pivot last minute. Hell, give me Bron Breakker versus John Cena. I'll take it.
To me, storyline wise, that makes sense right now.
Yeah.
To me, it's like just putting Gunther in there after he's been off TV for 2 months is just very forced to me, and very no different than Vince shoving Roman down our throats. It's like Gunther's our next guy. He's going to retire Cena. Like to me, it's like, yeah, it'd be a good match. And does he deserve it? Yeah. Like
yeah.
I'm not taking anything away from Gunther at all. I just think it's just more forced than it is like, oh, this guy's hot right now and deserves this big moment. And he's going to be a guy that catapults WWE into the future. Bron Breakker, they've said time in and time again on WWE TV that this guy is a future multi-WrestleMania main eventer. Like,
hell,
if you're going to put that much stock on him and everybody in the arena is barking all over the place when he enters the arena, and you're partnering him with the best manager that professional wrestling has ever seen. No disrespect to Bobby Heenan. I think Paul Heyman is the greatest wrestling manager of all time. No disrespect to Jimmy Hart either. You know, great in his own right, but he's not Paul Heyman. And what Paul Heyman has been able to accomplish in his career, and what Paul Heyman's going to accomplish during the next 10, 15, 20 years of his life in professional wrestling if he stays healthy. So to me, Bron Breakker is way hotter than Gunther is right now when it comes to facing John Cena. And Bron Breakker could retire John Cena the same way Brock Lesnar kicked John Cena's ass at WrestlePalooza, and I wouldn't be disappointed. Like that's how you put your stamp of approval onto the future.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is when you look at the turn to on Monday Night Raw, when you look at that turn, if you listen to the crowd reaction back, it's oh my God, and then barking through the entire crowd. Like they're like, yes, like, oh my God, you got us, but we're okay with this. So if Bron Breakker is the guy to go up against John Cena, the crowd's not going to complain. Like they're not going to complain at all because they see, no pun intended, the vision. And on that note, I'm going to end it there and say, anyone who has gone through this entire video, what are your thoughts in the chat? Is Bron Breakker worthy of the final match for John Cena? Was this rushed? Is Seth injured? Is Brock Lesnar going to save Paul Heyman? What comes of this? Because I think this is one of the best swerves since obviously John Cena turning heel at Elimination Chamber, but this was, in my mind, a 10 out of 10. Like, it was perfect.
I mean, at least we had a second to realize that Cena was finally turning heel. With The Rock slitting his throat and everything. We're like, oh my God, it's happening. Like, that spear came out of nowhere.
Nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. And it's kind of funny. I'm just going to go off topic here. One of my moderators from my Twitch channel was in the crowd and she filmed it raw. And she got a different angle. And even the setup, if you watch everything that the Vision has done since their inception, Bron Breakker has walked away from the lineup, gone to the corner, leant against the ropes, completely almost like he was always half a foot out the door. And with this one, Seth just steps to the rope. And even on Seth's turn, Breakker still stepping in the corner. It was 2 steps and spear. It was so well done. Like, I can watch it over and over and still be surprised that Breakker did it so cleanly. And it actually shows the elevation of his character and how he's a superior athlete. So I loved every second of it. I think you did too, minus not having any caffeine in you and not waking up in time. But overall,
to me, it's like you do that in front of, I don't want to be, anti-international, but it's like you think they would do that on normal Eastern and Pacific time in America. But I guess they had to rush it if Seth Rollins was actually hurt. And I will say, in favor of international crowds, you are way better than us in every single way when it comes to showing your energy. So yes, maybe from that perspective as well, they got a way better reaction than maybe the American crowd would give you.
Yeah, fair enough. Guys, let us know in the comments. Like, subscribe, put the bell on for all Straight Shoot Unfiltered. Don't forget to follow the newsletter. We have just jumped up actually 100 subscribers over the weekend. And like always...